No, someone help me.
On my way to an important meeting, as I hurriedly crossed through a park, I heard a woman scream. As I approached, I could see a woman being attacked by a man, struggling against him. "Hey, stop what you're doing." Summoning all my courage, I shouted at the man from behind. Startled by my voice, the man ran away from the scene. The woman, overwhelmed by shock, fainted, and I accompanied her to the hospital. Then, my boss arrived, his face beach red.
You abandoned the work that our company's future relies on and prioritized a stranger. You're fired.
What does he consider more important, a company meeting or a human life? It's not even a question to me. I was at my breaking point. Fine, I quit. The boss was surprised but laughed scornfully.
Fool. Ha ha.
Just watch me. After this, I was about to turn the tables. My name is Jackson Miller. Like most boys, I admired justice heroes since I was a kid, helping the weak and defeating evil enemies. Who wouldn't find such a justice hero cool? First, I admired heroes in special effects shows, anime, and comics. Then I became obsessed with games. An ordinary boy gets some kind of power or goes on a training journey and becomes stronger, helping people in trouble and defeating evil. Rescue the captive princess and have a happy ending. I loved such a classic story. In the 3rd grade of elementary school, a transfer student came to my class. Her name was Sophia Taylor, a very cute girl. Perhaps because she was from the city, she was quiet but seemed mature. The boys were excited, but the girls seemed indifferent. Sophia had a hard time fitting in with the class and often found herself alone. Seeing this, I mustered up my courage and spoke to her. Someone had to start such things. Being left out is against justice. Some boys made fun of it, but I didn't care. As I talked to Sophia, gradually other kids joined in. When I told Sophia about my favorite hero shows in a funny way, Sophia gave a modest smile. Her smile was so beautiful. I remember my heart pounding at that childlike moment. Since we were heading the same way home, I invited her to play on the way, first at my house, then at Sophia's. When I went to Sophia's house, I met her little brother. Her brother Liam liked the popular game at that time, and since I liked the same game, we quickly got along.
No fair, you two are playing alone.
As Liam and I were engrossed in our game, Sophia pouted. After all, Liam and I were the only ones with dedicated handheld game consoles. Sophia could only watch. She had never played before and couldn't keep up. Although she didn't seem to mind in class, she apparently didn't find it amusing when I was chatting with Liam alone. Sorry, let's all play together.
Really? Is that okay?
Of course, we're friends, aren't we? Friends play together. When I said that, Sophia's face lit up with a smile as if a flower had bloomed.
Even though she won't play games when I invite her.
Sophia, in a good mood from receiving my game console, sat next to Liam as he muttered under his breath. For a first time playing, Sophia caught on quickly and was good at the game. I suppose she must be smart. That's amazing. I didn't know you could do it that way. When I complimented her, Sophia smiled with embarrassment. As our days of visiting each other's houses to play went on, Sophia's expression brightened. She was cautious and reserved when she first transferred, but the real Sophia was a girl with a vibrant and cheerful expression. Thanks to that, Sophia was able to get along with the other girls in the class. But then a sad event occurred.
It's sudden, but due to her father's job, Sophia Taylor will be transferring. It's a pity as she had just gotten used to the class.
During the morning homeroom, I listened in disbelief to the words of our teacher. Sophia had only been here for a few months since her transfer. On the day before Sophia was to move, I went home once, brought a certain item, and rushed to Sophia's house. We met in front of her house, which was filled with cardboard boxes. Here, take this. Sophia, who was handed my game console, had a puzzled look on her face.
But this is your precious game console.
Think of it as me, and use it with care. I borrowed a line from an anime I'd watched before, where the protagonist gave something he wore to someone important when they were parting. It was a short period of time, and she was a girl, but Sophia had become a special friend to me. In retrospect, It may have been my first love, although I thought it might be a bit cheesy. Sophia teared up and hugged the game console to her chest.
I will. I'll take good care of it.
Later, Liam also came by. Let's definitely meet again. While shaking hands with the two, we made a promise without a plan and said our goodbyes. Even after many years, I remained engrossed in games as always.
If you love gaming that much, why not make it your job?
When I heard my mother's words, I realized she was right. Around middle and high school, I found myself thinking more and more about the world setting and system while playing games. I was indeed interested in the creation side. I researched jobs in game development and decided to go to a vocational school after graduating high school. My mother was dumbfounded when she found out I was serious about entering the gaming industry. After graduating from vocational school, I got a job at a game development company. It wasn't a large company, but it was a veteran in the industry, releasing many masterpieces since the old days. Of course, I've played their games too. As a new member of the development team, I was enthusiastic. During my first year, I did a lot of odd jobs, starting with debugging, which was to be expected. I hadn't yet proven myself as a valuable asset. From the second year, I joined a project to produce a new game title. I was placed in the scenario creation team. The development department usually had a friendly atmosphere. However, as the schedule approached, there was sometimes a tense feeling in the air. Everyone was serious about making an interesting game. I thought I was blessed with wonderful colleagues. The first time I saw my name at the end of the staff roll when our new game was released after much hardship, I was so moved I almost cried. When the development was pressing, we often had to work all night and couldn't take a day off. Long hours of staring at the screen and working exacerbated eye fatigue. My shoulders were chronically stiff, and my eyesight also declined. This job is really tough, I thought, but the joy of making a career out of what I loved was incomparable to anything else. Several years had passed since I joined the company. One day, I heard that there was a personnel change. The sales manager, Lopez, was being transferred. Back when the company was smaller, developers would sometimes go to sales. Now, we hire specialized staff for sales, so it was very rare for someone from sales to come to the development department. A salesperson being the head of the development department. Could someone who didn't even know the basics of development lead the department? Everyone in the department was skeptical. Lopez got in with connections. He didn't do much, even though he was in sales, said a senior colleague who had been with the company for a long time. Lopez, the department head, was the son of the executive director. He had graduated from university, but had no job, so he joined his parents' company. Connections or not, it's fine if he can do his job. Even if he can't, it's better if he's harmless. But the senior colleague made a grim face. There had been many conflicts with colleagues at work. There were hardships, but they were for the sake of making a good game. It was intolerable to be instructed by a novice who knew nothing about development. I felt as if dark clouds were spreading ahead. As soon as Lopez transferred, my bad feeling turned out to be correct.
Professional, aren't you? Hurry up and get it done.
Bringing a novice's perspective to game development isn't always bad. However, if you're in a management position, you need to have a proper understanding of the work. Yet, Lopez didn't try to understand the development process. He was a mess, presenting ideas that disregarded costs at production meetings, suggesting impossible schedules. Even when we explained why something couldn't be done, he wouldn't accept it, arrogantly saying whatever he wanted.
Defying me, the section chief. You're cheeky. I can easily have you fired, you know.
Whenever there was a direct confrontation, he would flaunt his position as section chief and try to have his way. With him as the section chief, we couldn't continue. We tried to persuade the higher-ups to move Lopez back to sales, but apparently, he was a burden even in the sales department, so we didn't get a favorable response. The project on which the company's fortune depended began, leaving our concerns unaddressed. Officially, Section Chief Lopez was the leader, but I was the one leading the development staff. During meetings, Lopez would make unreasonable suggestions, and it became my job to bring them to a feasible compromise. The veteran employees clearly showed their disgust just by being spoken to. So the ones Lopez bothered were the seemingly non-resistant young employees, especially the women. After arrogantly preaching, he would try to probe into things that had nothing to do with work.
Finish this much at least. Seriously. By the way, you don't have a boyfriend yet, do you?
Oh, here he goes again. I want to get back and work quickly. And yet, he himself leaves right at the end of office hours. Despite the fact that the development staff has been working overtime since the project started, but the work progressed better without Section Chief Lopez, so we were grateful he left early. We naturally bonded over complaining about Section Chief Lopez. Then, one day, something happened. When I came back from lunch break and tried to continue my work, I noticed something was wrong. It's gone. Why is it gone? The game setting data was gone from my computer. I had only saved it locally, not on the company's intranet, because it was a temporary file. I didn't have a backup.
After you left for lunch, Section Chief Lopez.
One of my juniors, who had been eating a sandwich at her desk, had witnessed it. It seems that Section Chief Lopez had been snooping around my computer and tinkering with something. He left in a hurry a few minutes later. When Lopez came back, I immediately confronted him. At first, he pretended not to know, but when I told him there was a witness, he flipped out.
You left the screen open. Don't you have any sense of security?
Chief Lopez shelved his own fault and blamed me entirely. Indeed, leaving the screen open while leaving my seat was my fault. However, I didn't anticipate that someone as high up as the section chief would tamper with someone else's computer out of mere curiosity and end up deleting something. Unable to bear it anymore, I spoke to the president. However, all he told me was to endure. He was afraid of his beloved executive director raising a revolt. In the end, the deleted data was somehow restored with the help of my juniors. Our dissatisfaction with Section Chief Lopez grew even more. A month after the project started, a crucial meeting was scheduled. Our company wasn't the only one involved in the project. We had a partnership with a rising but now unstoppable company, Y Corporation. That day, not only developers from both sides, but also the top management of both companies were attending the important meeting. I was supposed to explain the part developed by our company. The meeting was scheduled to start at 7 p.m. I was too busy preparing. In contrast, Lopez seemed to be in a good mood. I couldn't help but say sarcastically, "You look happy." Lopez was grinning and said,
Today, I get to meet a girl I really like after a long time.
"Hey, you're supposed to be the project leader. Concentrate on the job in front of you." I fought in my mind, but I decided it would be foolish to engage him any further, so I didn't say anything. That day, I left work at the usual time and walked nervously to the venue. There was a park on the way, and it was quicker to cut through it. The park, which must have been bustling with families during the day, was lonely now that the night had fallen, and there was no one in sight. As I was hurrying through the park, I heard a woman scream from the shadows cast by the trees.
No, someone help me.
Without thinking, I stopped in my tracks. With my poor eyesight, I used my smartphone camera to zoom in and observe the situation from a distance. A man was pulling a woman's hand. I couldn't just ignore it. As a child, I was not good at fighting. I lived my life untouched by violence. However, my admiration for heroes of justice is still alive and well. Having made up my mind, I ran towards the source of the scream. As I got closer, I could see a man and a woman struggling in the shadows. No, I could see that the woman was being attacked by the man and resisting. "Hey, what are you doing? Stop it." I mustered all my courage and shouted from behind the man. Whether he was startled by my voice or not, the man ran away from the scene. The immediate danger had passed. My legs were shaking, but I approached the woman who was still leaning against the tree.
Thank you.
She started to thank me and then collapsed on the spot. Maybe she was shocked from being attacked, or maybe she just let her guard down because she felt safe. I rushed to support her. At that moment, I felt like I recognized her face. Her long hair was disheveled and partly covering her face, but she was a beautiful woman. If I had met such a beautiful woman before, I wouldn't forget. It must be my imagination. More importantly, I had to do something about her passing out. That's all I could think about. In the end, I called an ambulance and had her transported. I ended up going along because of the circumstances. By the time I finally got a break after contacting the police while she was being examined and treated at the hospital, I remembered the meeting. I wouldn't make it in time if I left now. When I called Lopez, he was so flustered that he wasn't clear. I was worried, but since I had no choice but to rely on Lopez, I hung up in a huff. He is the project leader, at least in name. It would be nice if he could do his job at times like this. An hour or so had passed, but she didn't wake up. I decided to stay with her until she regained consciousness. It was when I left the hospital room to buy a drink from a vending machine. The president and section chief Lopez had arrived at the hospital. The meeting shouldn't be over yet. As soon as he saw me, the president, who was looking puzzled, shouted,
You've caused us a lot of trouble by not showing up.
But since section chief Lopez, who is the project leader, was there, it shouldn't have been a problem, right? I understand that it's my fault for suddenly being absent. However, it shouldn't be entirely my fault. As I emphasized the words project leader and pointed at Lopez, his face turned pale.
Because of this guy's failure to fulfill his responsibilities as a development leader, he's not even adhering to security measures. And you have no idea how hard I struggle every day.
So struggling is messing with someone's computer without permission.
President, as you see, I have only defiant subordinates who push their own mistakes onto others.
I wanted to say that it's him who's pushing off his own mistakes. As soon as Lopez realizes he's at a disadvantage, he quickly changes the subject. I'm tired of it.
Anyway, I can't entrust work where the company's fate is at stake to someone who prioritizes an unknown woman. I had high hopes for you. What a disappointment. Quit or go back to being a newbie and start from menial tasks.
Lopez was grinning next to the president. What the hell is he saying? A company meeting or a person's life? Which one is important? There's no need to weigh that. It's clear that no matter what I say, Chief Lopez won't acknowledge his mistakes, and the president is going to side with Chief Lopez. I had reached my limit. Then I quit. They probably didn't think I was serious about quitting. The president and Chief Lopez were stunned for a moment, then started shouting angrily. Once I decide to quit, it doesn't matter how much they complain. It won't affect me. At some point, Lopez kept glancing towards the hospital room. I was curious, but the president said,
Let's go,
and took Lopez away. I went back to the hospital room, relieved, and the woman had woken up.
I'm sorry. Because of me, your important job.
Oh, you're awake. Are you okay? Was it because the two of them were shouting so loudly that she woke up? Rather, I felt bad. I decided to keep her in the hospital. She doesn't need to feel responsible. I just want her to rest and recuperate. When I said that, she gave me a modest smile, looking embarrassed. Again, I felt a sense of deja vu. Had we met somewhere before?
You really haven't changed. I was helped by Jackson when we were kids. So this is the second time.
Second time? Why does she know my name? Question marks were floating around in my head.
You don't remember me. That's sad.
There was a name tag on the pillow at the bedside, but it was hidden because the jacket she was wearing was hung on the wall. When she moved the jacket, her name was revealed. It said, Sophia Taylor. The source of the deja vu I had been feeling since I helped her. Memories of playing games at each other's houses when we were kids came flooding back. Her face as she laughed innocently. Her face as she was frustrated at losing the game. Her face as she was proud of winning. Looking back, there were traces of her. She was cute since she was a kid, but now she has become a very elegant and beautiful woman. As I was fascinated by Sophia.
Jackson, I have something to tell you.
Sophia, with a serious face, was about to make a shocking statement. A few days later, I returned to the office to process my resignation. It was disappointing to abruptly leave a company I joined with dreams of making a difference. My colleagues in the development department, knowing of my departure, expressed their regret. They told me that once things calmed down, they'd hold a farewell party. and I should come. I felt fortunate to have such supportive comrades. The only one, unsurprisingly, was Department Head Lopez, who made snide remarks about me being irresponsible, how refreshing it would be once I was gone. I brushed him off nonchalantly. Since he was technically my superior, I handed him my resignation letter with a shove.
You'll never make it at another company, being as half-hearted as you are.
I wanted to throw that back at him, getting a job through connections and doing whatever he pleased. Just then, the CEO came by. I had been treated roughly by him before, but as a professional, I had to express my gratitude for his help. As I approached, I noticed something was different. It seemed he had brought a client with him.
Oh my, we are most honored to have the CEO of Y Corp grace us with his presence.
The person with the CEO was the other party at the meeting the other day, the CEO of Y Corp. Our CEO was bowing and scraping, treating him with extreme deference. It was unusual to see him act like that. However, the moment he saw me, his attitude changed completely.
What are you still doing here? We don't need someone who's resigning to stick around in the development department.
I didn't need him to tell me that. I was about to make a quick exit when the CEO of Y Corp approached me. He had a broad smile on his face.
This is perfect. He'll be coming to our company.
Everyone in the room was dumbfounded.
Huh, why would this guy go to Y Corp?
Don't you know? He's our hero.
The man standing before me was Liam, the CEO of Y Corp and Sophia's younger brother. In the hospital room, Sophia told me that her younger brother, Liam, was the CEO of Y Corp and that she also worked there. Like me, Liam was an avid gamer and had started developing games while he was still a student, eventually starting his own company. He seemed to be blessed with talent. Y Corp, which he started, saw rapid growth after releasing a string of hit games. Sophia, after graduating from a top university and landing a job at a prestigious company, was convinced by Liam to join Y Corp. Now, she even holds an executive position. Then,
Jackson, if you're willing, why don't you come and join us at our company?
that's what she said. Y Corp is a leading company creating cutting-edge games. Of course, I would love to join if I could, but I wondered, could I really contribute anything? As I was unable to reply, a man entered the hospital room.
Sis, are you okay? Wait, you're Jackson, right?
It was her brother, Liam. Earlier, Sophia was playing with her phone, saying she needed to make a call. She must have been contacting Liam. After hearing the situation, Liam bowed deeply to me and said,
Mr. Jackson, please come to our company. I beg you.
"Hey, you can raise your head."
The reason I am where I am today is because of you, Mr. Jackson. My sister and I, we had to move a lot because of our family situation. We hardly had any friends. But then we met you, and I made my first friend. It made me realize how encouraging it is to have friends. Whenever things weren't going well in a new place, my sister and I would play games and cheer each other up. That's why I fell more and more in love with games and managed to make a career out of it.
Listening to Liam, I felt a warmth spread in my chest. Sensing the mood, Liam jokingly continued,
My sister still has your game console, you know. She says it's her treasure. Hey, Liam, don't say unnecessary things.
Sophia blushed at this. It was quite nostalgic. It felt like we were back in those days. That's right. We were connected through games back then, too. And we still are now. Liam, Sophia, if you're okay with me, please let me join. And thus, I became a part of Liam's company. He asked me when I would be submitting my resignation to the company, so I told him. I never thought he would actually show up at the office.
So, President Taylor, about that project.
The president was fondly asking Liam. Liam, who was totally different from when he was talking to me, bore a cold expression.
Doesn't your company have an employee who engages in criminal activities? Just recently, my sister fell victim to such an act. I can't possibly cooperate with such a company.
What? Who would do such a thing?
A suspicious individual happens to be right here.
Liam's gaze was directed at Chief Lopez.
What evidence do you have?
His panic made him look even more suspicious. I prepared my smartphone, saying, "Chief, it's all recorded here," and played the video of Sophia being attacked for everyone to see. I have poor eyesight and often use the zoom feature on my smartphone. When I heard a woman scream that day, I instinctively started recording just in case. The zoom-in video clearly showed the side of Chief Lopez's face when he was startled by my voice, as well as his back as he was trying to leave. The person who attacked Sophia was Chief Lopez. According to Liam, when Lopez was in sales and visited Y-Corp, he apparently fell in love with Sophia at first sight. He was persistently wooing her under the guise of work. However, Sophia had no interest in him whatsoever.
If you continue to stalk me, I'll sue you.
She even warned him, and he seemed to have given up. But Lopez couldn't give up on Sophia and frequently ambushed her at Y-Corp, stalking her afterwards. Sophia was cautious and always went home with someone else, so she managed to escape any trouble. However, that day, due to work, she had to go to the venue alone and was attacked by Lopez, who was waiting for her in the park.
Lopez pleaded with Liam, "We're in love with each other. Please let me see her, Sophia."
However, Liam replied,
My sister was only dealing with you as a business partner. Did you misunderstand that? Well, you'll understand soon enough when we go to the police.
Lopez collapsed right there. Afterwards, my video became the deciding factor, and following the acceptance of the crime report by the police, Lopez was dismissed from the company for disciplinary reasons. But for the company, it was too late. The numerous issues caused by Chief Lopez in the development department had been overlooked by upper management despite being brought to their attention, which left everyone disgruntled. As a result, people continued to resign after me, leaving the company unable to release its new game. The poor performance has brought the company to the brink of bankruptcy. I received requests to return as if nothing had happened, but I politely declined. The company where Liam and Sophia work offers better conditions, and the work is more enjoyable. The main reason, however, was that I had started dating Sophia and wanted to be as close to her as possible.
To me, you're a hero of justice, Jackson.
Even though I'm just an ordinary guy, I managed to retain the spirit of a hero of justice. Sophia's words were the most satisfying thing for me. I vow to continue living according to my beliefs and to protect the people who are important to me.